I'm just shooting a short video of introduction kind of thing, well, just a brief look at the game Killer Angels, which is a game from 1983 published by West End Games. It's of particular interest because the designer is a lady, a war game designer. There's not so many of those. And then the further story on this is that it was she designed it as her PhD thesis, and then it was further developed into the war game you see before you. I think the thing was she had shares in the company, or she was related to one of the owners of the company. So you can see she's listed as the designer alongside Daniel Scott Palter. And then the game was developed by Doug Kaufman, advanced game developed by Stefan Patajek, campaign game developed by Greg Kostikian, whose name I recognise from the hobby, graphics, blah blah blah, and then damage control, it's a nice job title, Eric Goldberg, another name I recognise from the hobby. And then you also see over here John Southard, the Order of Battle Research, and then we got playtesters and rules editors. But this game's a really interesting game to me. It's first of all, the title. As soon as I got into wargaming, really, I played toy soldiers and such when I was a kid, and then a few sort of Steve Jackson style kind of war games. Like Dune and Car Wars and stuff like that, Raid on Iran, etc. But I didn't really get into full-blown war games until I was in my 30s. And when I saw this title, immediately there's such an evocative title, it piqued my interest about the game. And then obviously subsequently I learned that was actually taken from the title of a book. So that drew my attention. Then the fact that it's designed by a lady. So I'm interested in, does that mean that a female mind has a slightly different view on the on designing of a war game? Now, of course, that's completely kind of like nonsensical thing. It's just an individual mind has the different minds have different takes. But anyway, the fact that it's a woman added extra interest to me. And then as I read more about it, I understood that it was a very sort of detailed treatment, in the sense of a very interesting study in terms of, I'm not sure, we could say like logistics and command and control. So maybe a bit more of a study than an exciting game, but and that even piqued my interest as well. I was looking for a copy for quite a long time. It's not so easy on this side of the pond, so you might realise, viewers in America, to get titles like this, that we just don't have the same pool of war games as is present in the American continent. So especially for more slightly obscure titles from the 80s, they don't come around so often. But it wasn't expensive anyway, because it's not a game that's much wanted. And that's another thing that often attracts me as well, that games that other people turn their noses up at, I'm often like, oh well, I'll snap that up cheap and see what it's about. Now, so when I actually did get this about 4 or 5 months ago, I was really excited. I wasn't able to get at the table straight away. I was in the middle of something, and then something else, and blah blah blah. But now I want to give it a bash, and I thought essentially I don't often get unpunched games, so I want to start clipping some counters to set up. And because I got an unpunched copy, I thought, it might be interesting just to do a quick, not quite unboxing, but having a look at the game in its pristine 1985 condition. I say pristine, but things in the box, it's got a nice coloured back, and unfortunately it says here on the back, you can maybe just make that out between the glare and the shadow, storage tray with snap-on lid for playing pieces included. And in fact, there were 2, according to the rules booklet, included in the game. It didn't come with mine, and I'm sure they will be sorely missed. The other thing you got, and I've mislaid them, I just went looking for them, was some flyers, 2 duplicate flyers from West End Games, interesting titles in there, and some stuff from Steve Jackson Games mixed in and put in there as well. I don't know if that came with the original game. I suspect it did. But it's interesting to see that cross-posting of advertising. Then you get the map, which you can see before you. The first couple of things you'll notice about that is that it's although it's quite a large map, there's the map sheet, the actual terrain depicted is not huge. You know, you could fit this on half this size. So the rest of it is taken up by strength tracks. So you've got here 8th Corps, 9th, 11th Corps, 12th Corps, etc. Then you've got Independent, the Department of Washington, Department of Susquehanna, etc. So that's all the unions. And then you've got the Confederate Corps tracks here. And you've got a turn record track, and look at that. From 1st of June, and it's every day all the way up to 31st of August. That's 90 turns on the turn record track. So you can see you can have a massive campaign. And already that's very interesting. Such a massive campaign on such a comparatively small space. You've also got some kind of like, I think, off-map boxes. You've got ATSI 1 and 2. You've got Richmond, which leads to Southside, which leads to North Carolina and South Carolina. And then you've got Peninsula leading to Norfolk. Then North Carolina and South Carolina separate there. East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia. And let's have a quick look at the map. Let me take this plexi off so we can do without the glare, can't we, at this point? He says clean that over there, hoping he doesn't crack it. Okay, so what we have is, well, here we've got Virginia, and there's the Culpeper Courthouse. Here's Brandy Station, and there, of course, is the famous battle we're all after, Waterloo. What? No. So you can actually fight Waterloo in the middle of the American Civil War here. But apart from that, so if we work our way out, we've got Manassas Junction here, we've got the Bull Run Mountains here, Centerville, and then we go over to Washington, and I kind of lost my way because I suspect we got Chancellorsville here, and Fredericksburg, so that's the Rappahannock. Here's Bull Run. So you know, all these famous battle sites. Here's the Potomac. Here's Harper's Ferry, Charlestown. There's Winchester. So these are the Thingumybob Mountains. And we go down to Newmarket, Mount Jackson. Oh look, there's Woodstock. Cross Keys down to here, all the way down to Staunton. Then we go all the way up, there's Harrisburg in Pennsylvania. You've got Maryland with Baltimore here. So it'd be interesting if we get up to fighting there. Oh, and we will, because there is Gettysburg. I'm actually surprised. I knew it was kind of north of Washington, but it surprises me to see it that north. So that's really interesting. But anyway, so that's showing you what this is going to be about, and it is really about the what became the Gettysburg campaign. So that's the map. It covers a big area, but it's not a huge map. Then, okay, then you also get the rule books. So you have basic rules here. Now the basic rules are actually 23 pages long, and then you start getting the scenarios. Quite a few, 3 scenarios. One's a whole campaign, and you get charts and tables. Next, you get advanced rules. Now that goes all the way up to 48 pages, and then you start getting scenarios. And there's 4 Gettysburg, Lee's 5, Lee's retreat. You can see there's lots of counter setup information for these. Scenario 6, the pursuit south of the Potomac. Of course, there's a campaign game. I say of course, I don't know. A campaign scenario, I should have said. I'm not sure, but anyway. No, it looks like the advanced game scenarios cover a section of the campaign, because the next rule book, yes, you get 3, is the campaign rules. So this is for the whole campaign game, and that's another. Actually, interestingly, these are all numbered sequentially, so this goes up to page 83, but it's not 83 pages, so between them all they go up to 83 pages. Now, let me just hang on a sec. Okay, I stabilised my camera there. So those are the rule books, and just to give you an idea of what they cover, it's very interesting that the you actually get a whole section for map and counter errata. It's not huge, but after the introduction, how to read the rules, the components, then we get to, this is the first bit I've done of the game, is map and counter errata. There's very few, but it's nice to have that control there for you. But anyway, so then you have attachments, pickets, leaders, issuing orders, movement, stacking and intelligence, reaction, contact, routine, skirmishes, battles, and that's the basic game. Then the advanced rules bring in, apart from new military units, such as ground divisions, army assets, pickets, you have issuing orders in the advance, get advanced movement, advanced reaction, rail cuts, and engineers. Communications, then union politics, then also some optional rules, dummies, reserves and flanking, etc. Supply is an optional rule, etc. And then in the campaign game, it goes over the things like movement and leadership and organisation, army command and so forth, and victory conditions, and that's own fashion. So already that's really very stimulating to me. You can see there's a hell of a lot to get into in here. You know, whether I can stomach all of this in consecutively is another question, but I'd like to stomach as much as I can in the same period. Oh, sorry, I don't know where I was. I had to pause. Yes, so Killer Angels, Lee's offensive in the north, June to August 1863. So the other thing you get is, you would have got a die, that I didn't get that. Then you get the counter sheets, so you get 5 sheets. There's you can see 2 1/4 a union, like 1.5 Confederate. Doesn't seem fair, does it? And then an extra sheet here, and then you get like these yellow sheets with things like rail cuts and rail end markers and march. Not that many, but one of the first things that let me show you a bit closer up. So here's the leaders, and each leader has, I haven't got my glasses on, that's not the same fellow, is it? Yes, no, okay, so that's Hunter, he has 2, and Howard has 2 counters, so each leader has 2 counters. Then we can find them on the back. This one's got all zeros, and this one's got his stars and some other things. So some fellows have 1 here, some are 3, 3, 2, 6. So I can't. I had looked at the rules a few months ago, a couple of months ago. Can't remember what they mean now, but see, headquarters. These look like supply trains or something, but we'll see. Lots of interesting stuff. And of course it's the same for Confederates. You can see you get lots of leaders. Nearly all of them familiar. I can't say faces, but I can say names. It's not so familiar. Elsie. Udaden. Okay. Even some cavalry fellows. Oh no, sorry, I thought these were actually where I've corrected with a white pen. Some haven't put the corrections in, but they got some people's names wrong. They got the Jenkinses mixed up and so forth. Okay, so I don't think you need any more waffling from me. That's just an introduction to show you what's going to be on this channel next. I will be reading the rules and clipping the counters and setting up for the first scenario in the basic game, which happens to be they give us Gettysburg basic game battle example. So that's this should be considered as an example of play rather than an attempt to recreate the actual historical events. So you could follow that through with the units, but the first scenario is Lee moves north. So I'll be playing 1 and 2, which is the second part. Meade takes over, and then working up to 3, which is mini campaign, with the first scenarios covering the most exciting part of the campaign. But anyway, that's it. Quick look at the sequence of play summary to show you how much is in it. Contact routine, skirmish routine. So this is the base of the game turn sequence of play. Determination interface, first player turn, you might have battle continuation, movement, second player reaction, forced march, battle, then the second player turn repeats. Then you have an interface, union politics segment, leader restoration, mark removing, and then here you have various routines for the contact routines, you have to go through those. Counter inspection, cavalry withdrawal, moving unit initiation, occupying unit initiation. There's a skirmish routine. There's a battle routine, which can go on for more than one round. Another idea of what's going on, administrative point costs summary. So continuing a multi-day battle costs you 2 points, movement costs you 1, difficult terrain costs you 2, initiating battle costs 2 or 3 depending, so gives you some idea what we're about. And yeah, we have a skirmish table, battle table, works out on strength points firing in the die roll. Same for skirmish, but obviously different results. Okay, I think that's enough for now. I just wanted to show before I started punching the counters. Having said that, perhaps I should just give another look what we've got. Engineers, artillery, cavalry. It's quite nice silhouettes, you see different variegated. That's interesting. I guess that's headquarters, yes. These are general infantry. Killer Angels is a detailed simulation of Lee's campaign in Pennsylvania in 1863. The system concentrates on the problems of command control and leadership and on the political constraints. The fog of war hangs densely over the field as players can never be sure exactly where and in what strength the enemy is moving. A host of optional advance rules make Killer Angels the definitive simulation of the Gettysburg campaign. So you can see already with the fog of war, solitaire suitability is low, so quite a fair amount of cognitive dissonance, but as I sort of treating this as a study, rather than a semi-competitive solitaire experience, that's fine by me. The hobby industry of America promotes achievement and the Gamma Manufacturers Association. There is the enemy, and I intend to strike him. Okay. Game map, actual size 22 inches by 34. Like I say, 11 by 16 would have covered the terrain, which we're going to be spending 3 to 8 hours on. Interesting stuff. Can't wait to work through. I think my basic hope really is, I think, is that I want to be able to get the whole experience. So it might mean just sort of one scenario from each until I get to the campaign game, because I know my endurance wouldn't last through all the scenarios here before we get to there. And then that would leave me with little scenarios I could use to come back to stimulate extra interest. But I do want to get the full flavour. We'll see what's possible for me at the moment.